Hi, if you're watching this, you're probably a teacher, and it's been 2 months or a month since the new academic year started, right? How do you usually start your classes, especially in the first 1 to 2 months of this school year? What are your practices? Today, I'm going to share with you my practices at the beginning of each academic year, and hopefully, you'll get something from me. Number one, this is very basic. And not all teachers do this. Yes, it's basic, it's simple, but this is very important. Number one, you have to check that all your students, the students who are physically present in your class, are enrolled in your subject, especially if you're teaching in college or university. If you're teaching in basic ed, there's no harm in doing this as well because there might be instances when a student is in your class but they're actually not enrolled yet. Or it could be the other way around. There could be a name in your list of enrolled students but is not present in your class yet. So you have to always double check whether one, all your students in your class are enrolled, and second, that all the students in your list are in your class already. Number two, this is equally as important as the first one. You have to give them proper orientation. And when I say proper orientation, you have to make it sure that, for example, it's the second day of the class, that on that second day of class, it's very clear to everyone, both you and your students, what are the rules that you all have to follow, not just class rules, but also school policies, especially, for example, in college or in universities. In this orientation, you have to cover everything, all right? Everything that they have to know. What are the things that you will be looking for, or what are your expectations from them in the coming weeks? And in return, what they should be doing, or what are they, for example, expecting you to give them as well. Before the start of the first period, all their works or projects should be on your desk already. Then that means you also have to give them specific schedule. School policies, you have to run through all of them, all right, and make them understand all of them. In the coming months that you will be spending together, there will be not much problem. You will be expecting them to follow the school policies, especially in college where the policies could be tricky, especially when it comes to maintaining grades, completion, things like that. Make sure that you discuss all of them from the very beginning. Now, when it comes to classroom rules or class rules, you're all teaching younger generations. You're all teaching Gen Zs, and it's very important that you have to make them feel that they are part of something, especially class rules, especially if it's something that they have to follow. Make them feel that they are part of establishing them or making them. It won't be that effective if you will just give them the list of your class rules, all right? It's better if you ask them, or maybe you could give them, like, for example, the first 5 class rules. Then ask them if there is any objection like that, or if there's something that they need to modify or negotiate with you as the teacher. Again, the term is negotiate, all right? You're not giving them everything. You're not giving them the upper hand. You're not telling them that whatever they say, you'll follow. That way, you're also teaching them to be accountable because they're part of writing the class rules. So they're also responsible and they have to be accountable. They also have to follow. Number 3, give them diagnostic tests. Well, I don't know what happened, but when I was in elementary, we used to have diagnostic examinations. I think there are still diagnostic tests. I'm just not sure because what I've heard from my friends who are also teaching is that diagnostic tests these days are more of like achievement tests and not really diagnostic tests. Because if it's a diagnostic test, you're supposed to be measuring how much they know already. This type of test is given to gauge the level of your students, especially their cognitive level, their preparedness for the content, whatever that you're going to teach them in the coming months. Another thing that you have to take note of when giving diagnostic tests is that students should not be pressured, all right? They're not supposed to pressure to get high scores or to get a perfect score even, because that's a diagnostic test. You're just measuring how much they know already, so you know where to start. By giving this diagnostic test as well, ideally you're supposed to also see your students' weaknesses, all right? For example, in this grade level, in this specific quarter, they're supposed to know how to construct paragraphs already because they're going to be writing essays. Then, for instance, you see that your students cannot identify yet parts of sentences. There's a part in the diagnostic test where they're supposed to arrange phrases or clauses so they can make a sentence that makes sense. You see that there's a difficulty there, then that's probably their weakness. Now, that means you should not jump right into asking them to write paragraphs and even essays, right? You have to start with teaching them how to construct sentences. Through this diagnostic test, hopefully you'll also see if there are non-readers in your class. Sad to say, we can't expect easily that all our students are already readers and all of them can already read fluently regardless of their level. Doesn't matter whether you're teaching in senior high school, junior high school, or even in college. You have to identify if there are non-readers or if there are students in your class who are still struggling when it comes to reading. Hopefully, this diagnostic test can also help you to identify if there are learning differences or if there are neurodivergent students in your class. You have to know if there are students who specifically need more of your attention and your assistance during your class. Then it doesn't stop with giving them the diagnostic test, all right? You have to check them and look for common denominators. What are the usual difficulties of your students or their weaknesses, and then try to address them a lot one day where you're discussing with them items where most of your students got incorrectly. At this stage, you're also making sure that you're laying down the foundations for your contents or for your lessons in the coming weeks. Number 5, you have to make sure that you have already built rapport with your students. And when I say building rapport, I am not talking about being friends with them. Okay, you have to be very careful with that. You have to still be professional in front of them while making them feel that they can come to you, tell you if there is any difficulty in your class, or if they're struggling in your class, or if there is something important that you have to know because it will affect their, for example, their studies. One of the things I make sure I do is I try to memorize their names, all right? That's one of the first things I do at the beginning of every semester or every beginning of the academic year. I try to memorize the names of my students. By memorizing their names, I'm also knowing each one of them. Well, I know this is very hard, okay? It's not easy to do, especially if you're handling like 6 classes or 5 classes with 40, 30 to 50 students. But as much as possible, all right, if you can, memorize the names of your students and also know them. It's very important to them if you call them by their first name, especially in your class. It'll make them feel seen in your class. There are students in your class who go to the classroom and think that, my teacher is not gonna notice me anyway. So why will I exert effort? Or why will I even raise my hand? Why will I even do this? She or he will just call the smartest student in class. It's either the smartest student in class or student who needs more attention, the one who is kind of behind, I mean, compared with other students, especially the average ones. Do not make them feel unseen in your class. So how do you do that? First thing that you have to do is know their names and know them. And that, teachers, is the relevance of calling your students by their first name or by their preferred name? What are your personal practices at the beginning of the school year? I also want you to share them in the comment section, especially those that I haven't mentioned. If you have topic suggestions, don't hesitate to leave them in the comments as well, or send me a personal message through my Facebook account, or send me an email. Teachers Month is coming as well. If there are topics related to teaching that you want me to discuss, or if there are things related to teaching that you want me to talk about, leave them in the comments as well. This may be very late, but good luck to you, teachers, for this academic year. Keep learning and dream and make your dream happen. I'll see you on my next one. Bye.